my name's Victoria Johannigman, and today I will be talking about the search for meaning and where to find God in the brain. In Ramachandran's book, he talked about finding spiritual experiences in the temporal lobes, and I wanted to find out whether or not other spiritual experiences were also found in the temporal lobe, or if they were found in other places in the brain. So I started my search, as other people have, with meditation, prayer, DMT, which has been called the God chemical, LSD, also known as acid, psilocybin, also known as magic mushrooms, astral projection, which is going out into the universe in search of answers, lucid dreaming, which is controlling the dreams within the dreamscape. And I believe that all of these are ways in which we could find spiritual experiences and or God, in a sense. So in astral projection, it's the experience of projecting one's consciousness outside of one's own physical body, so you're able to see yourself lying still, and in your extracorporeal experience, you're able to travel into the universe, opening doors to truth and possibly spirit guides and whatever else you may want to explore. So they did an fMRI study of a woman while she was doing out-of-body movements, such as turning her spirit body around in circles and swaying back and forth, although she said that she couldn't spin around in circles for too long or she would get dizzy. And they did an fMRI in Ottawa of what her brain looked like as she was astral projecting, and they noticed that the activations were mostly in the left side, including the left supplementary motor areas, the supramarginal and posterior superior temporal gyri, the cerebellum, the left middle and superior orbital frontal gyri, which are regions often associated with action monitoring. So also the temporal parietal junction, right there, has been associated with out-of-body experiences. And these results suggest that the ECE reported here represents an unusual type of kinesthetic imagery. So lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is when you become aware that you are dreaming within your dream and are then able to control it from there. And I personally am able to lucid dream, and I've been able to turn myself into a mermaid or set things on fire or just go to the ends of the universe. You really can explore whatever you want once you realize and become aware that you are dreaming within the dream. So this is an EEG of someone who is awake, and then someone who is lucid dreaming, and someone who's in REM non-lucid sleep. And as you can see, the EEG of the lucid dreamer is kind of a mixed pattern of both awake and asleep. So during lucid dreaming in REM, fast electrical brainwave activity reemerges over the prefrontal cortex, which I would assume is because you're able to kind of decide what you're doing, which is compared to non-lucid dreaming where the prefrontal cortex is not activated. And so, interestingly enough, in lucid dreaming, it's actually the right hemisphere that is activated, as opposed to the left hemisphere that was activated with astral projection. So the people they did a study of lucid dreamers. They gathered people from a website of lucid dreamers and asked them to do certain tasks while they were lucid dreaming, and electrodes were placed on the subject's eyes and temporal lobes. And they found that tasks that were involved in right hemisphere activity, like singing and art, were easier in lucid dreaming, but things like math and counting and calculations and reading were almost impossible in lucid dreaming, although those actions of doing math actually shifted the lateralization to the left while lucid dreaming. And other similar effects were shown when people were active with their motor functions in their dreams, the similar locations in the brain activated, showing that the brain thought that they were actually doing those movements even though the body was not actually in motion. And lucid dreamers have a higher gray matter volume in the frontopolar cortex, and these are the same neural systems involved in metacognition, which the systems involved are the right dorsolateral prefrontal cortex and the bilateral frontopolar area. So people who are more aware of themselves and more aware of their thoughts are more able to access this lucid dreaming state. Now on to another type of spiritual experience, which is psychedelics. People say to experience God and other angelic forms and spirituality through the use of DMT, LSD, and psilocybin. They all, interestingly enough, mimic serotonin, and the entheogenic, the godlike properties, seem to be specific to the 5-HT2AR agonists, which is really fascinating. This is a brain that is sober, and this is a brain on acid, and as you can see, the brain is a lot more active in a lot of different areas. And in this experience, people say that they have a feeling of oneness with the universe, an awareness of the self, a dissolution of ego, a connection with the eternal, feelings of transcendence, and mystical experiences. Basically, when you're tripping, you just feel yourself dissolve into the eternal oneness that exists in the universe. And and there's synesthesia, which is the connection of senses, so sometimes you'll see music or hear colors while tripping. There's also an exacerbation and alteration of the senses, such as colors, feelings, sounds, motion, etc. It kind of makes everything super bright and wavy, in a sense. And also, people do experience out-of-body experiences in astral projection sometimes while they're tripping. And tryptamines work by resetting the brain. They collapse the organization within the default mode network and decouple the DMN and the medial temporal lobes, which are usually very connected. And then while you're tripping, the connections increase and and all of the neural connections kind of talk to each other, and as you can see, the whole brain is kind of working together in this integrated kind of globalized form of the brain, and then after the trip, it kind of resegments and resets itself, which is why it can be, tryptamines can be beneficial for things like PTSD, depression, anxiety, and other types of psychological disorders, because it sets the brain back to its kind of primary state of being, and that can really help people who have experienced trauma. So where is God in all of this? How can we find God? I believe that God is the oneness, the eternal connection that exists within us all and in the universe. So next time you're looking for God, I suggest you look within yourself. Thank you. I hope you all gained a lot from this, and I hope that you're able to find God and spirituality and meaning within yourselves and each other.